podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Hello everyone, I'm Chris Wynn and welcome back everyone to another How We're the podcast. And as we promised, we're going to do our very best to be with you every single day throughout the summer as we have during this fantastic season. And today is no different as we have something a little bit special. Today's guest was last on How We're the podcast just 4 days after we beat Sheffield United at Wembley in the playoff last year. And if you haven't heard of him, you've probably seen some of his work over the last few years on promotional material the club has produced. And he's also produced some of the best Sunderland scenery photography you are likely ever going to see, because we're very glad to have Ross Johnston from RJX Media. Welcome, Ross.
Hello, mate. How's it going? Thanks for having me on.
Hi, not bad, not bad. Like I said, it's been a year since we talked to you, and it's been some year, hasn't it?
I mean, like I say, I didn't expect the year we had last year to wait it all finish, and you just think, is this the peak? And then what half this season we've just had, it's just, you just never thought in your wildest dreams we were ever going to accomplish what we did. But it's just been another crazy, insane year behind the camera, but also as a Sunderland fan in general. It's just been, you just could never have predicted that. But yeah, amazing, absolutely amazing.
Yeah, can't wait to get into it. But first off, Ross, because we did talk last time. We did have Gav on the pod with us last time, and he was due to be on the pod with us today, but can't make it. And you two were good mates, like we talked about last year. And actually, we were talking last year, obviously just after that playoff final, but you were just about to go off on Gav's stag do. Now, talking about your photography portfolio, that's we've never seen those photos, mate.
Yeah, I was happy to bring the camera back home because it was probably for the best, really, because what we got up to in that short weekend over in Magaluf for Gav Stag Do was just, I mean, the photos still crop up every other day in our group chat we're in, just daft stuff we got up to, but it was one of the nice ones to just take a breather and switch off from that crazy season last year and enjoy the sun and just see Gav go his ends and, you know, what he's like when he's having a drink. But then we obviously made that up for this season. But yeah, it's just been a good time away last year in the summer to reset and recharge, and then we just got cracking on with, as we are Sunderland fans, look forward to the new season in the Premier League and see what comes from that.
Yeah, bloody recharged. I think it took Gav a good month to get recharged after that stag do. But anyway, I think we should leave that stag do right there because. But look, we did talk about it last time, Ross. But just to kick off, I think it would be good to quickly remind everyone of your story, because like I said, we talked about it last time, but fantastic story. You picking up a camera is essentially a bit of a hobby during COVID, and it's led to almost the dream job for a photographer that supports Sunderland Football Club.
Yeah, mate, I'd say I never thought for 1 second I was ever going to be involved in football, even sports side of it. It was just kind of going up to an under 21, under 23 game, I believe, for the club. Up Everton just to give it a go. I never expected where it would take off. It was just kind of go up there, have a go of it and just see what you get. And I never thought from then it was kind of the opening the door of sharing that stuff back to the club. And I didn't think they would ever want to use it anyway because I was still well in my infancy of starting. But I got the door open with the club because they were happy wanting to use more of the landscape stuff that I'd done across the city for internal marketing and team sheets and all this type of stuff. So I was like, absolutely, yeah. I mean, go for it. Here's me full portfolio I've got and just go and use as much as you want. But then obviously from there, I kind of thought, like I said before, it's a case of most of us from the North East, it's always shy bands getting out. So I thought, unless I ask, I won't know where I stand. So I thought, can I just do one game at the stadium and I'll die happy? You know, I think I've made it and I'll be like, that's me done. I'll be so happy. And they said yes. And then that was towards the back end of the League One playoff campaign. Did one game there and we won, which I was just couldn't believe. And thought, well, this is it. That's me done. That's the end of this. No more. And back to just doing stuff around the city. But they kind of just says, you know what, we've got a few games left. Just keep coming back if you want. I thought I'm never going to turn that down. And then it just obviously since then it's just gone from strength to strength in terms of the visuals, and they asking me to come back in to capture more of the because I was doing a lot of the games like in there, but I had the eye for the fan base and telling their story from all ages. Because again, you want that story of the fan base from like, like grands and grandparents, parents, kids, you name it, coming from further afield, traveling all over to come and watch the team in red and white. And I think there was a big void of that missing. You saw the in-game stuff, but you never really saw more of the fan base. And I wanted to tell that story and know what a better way to try and do it through a Sunderland fan's eyes. And by getting that foot in the door, doing stuff down Wembley, Covent Garden for the League One playoff, I was just down there as a fan with Gav and everyone else, just there to celebrate and enjoy ready for the game. And having that kind of was the light bulb moment that went off to get me foot in the door with the club. And it's just been amazing ever since. The rise from League One to now Europa League. I mean, being in the right place, right time. And it's just weird how it all happens, because prior to that, it was always just like up and down, maybe promotions and back straight back down. But to be in this pinnacle point of the club's history, it's just like, I wouldn't say I'm a good luck charm, far from it, but there must be some element to it maybe. No, but I'm not going to take the glory that far from it. But I would never have thought this would ever coincide with what I was doing. I was happy just being where I was, doing stuff in League One. I never thought this would ever be possible, but here we are.
Yeah. Yeah, well, talking about being a coincidence from when you started, and it was a ridiculous sentence that you said there, from League One all the way up to the Europa League, which is still
it doesn't feel real, mate. It is seeing, isn't it?
Well, I was going to say, you must feel a little bit kind of blessed in that. Okay, you got your foot in the door and you made all that effort to start with, but you must feel blessed in some ways to be covering this time, because if you look over, I don't know, let's say, God, it's depressing to think how long, but last 10 to 15 years before this started happening, let's say before the League One playoff final, like, I'm not sure it was all that much fun documenting those years, there was no iconic pictures, but you've had probably more iconic photographs to be able to take in this period than in the last 15, 20 years.
I mean, yeah, you could argue, mate. I think one of my things I set out to do was, if I just got the opportunity to we'll always look back on those, like every time there's a certain game come around, whether it's like, say, if we played Newcastle, you always see the shots of Gabbiadini scoring when he's sliding, and you see Barini biting his hand when he scored the penalty through their place. You always see these particular images being replayed over the years in certain games. And for me, it was all about, I would love to get my shots out there where we can always use to look back on to see like really like poignant times of the club's period. And again, not thinking that we're in League One, I was just happy to be there just to get what I could and see where we go from. But the stuff that's kind of gone from then to the crowd reaction, and you're seeing like it was and welcoming the bus last week, like we've done against Coventry the season before, and getting like the drone up for the smoke going off and everything. You just, when you're taking these images, like if I'm looking, I'm really happy. I'm thinking, God, I can't wait to see these go out on socials. What the club do share them, they just take off. And it's not just my stuff as well. It's like everyone who's like working, doing their thing within the club. Like the output of it's got massive. That's credit to the team, because as long as we're doing well and everyone's happy. I've been there when it hasn't been like that, and people don't want the fours, and they'll tell you where to go, because obviously they're human with the result. But generally, the trajectory we have had, it's been more positive than it has been negative.
Yeah. Well, as I said last time we caught up with you, it was we talked a lot about your experience at Wembley, that game against Sheffield United, and how you covered that, and actually the whole weekend as a whole that you covered. But if we went back to last summer, I remember you saying that you weren't entirely sure what your role at the club would be, and you were going to speak to them and see what was going to happen. I mean, did they just end up just saying, keep doing what you're doing?
Pretty much, mate. It was kind of like I kind of threw ideas in and see like what we would do, or is it kind of initially going to be kind of carried over? And then I think they were more than happy with everything that happened that season. And I think it was kind of like a no-brainer. So we've done this in the Championship. Why wouldn't we want you to continue doing the Premier League? So again, I was absolutely buzzing to hear that, and it was kind of like, right, we'll go again, and you're going to have a different kind of dynamic of bigger crowds there, and the new kits and everything, and new signs, everything under that umbrella. You're just not sure what's going to happen, and I think that's the excitement of it all. You just don't know what is coming. You know, the games are there, the fixtures, but every other game is going to be a new blank canvas to just go out there and get what you can. There's no guarantee it's going to be a win. You know, we were always projected that we're going to be finishing rock bottom with so many points if we're going to get any. Everyone wrote us off, but the season we've had, it's just been every game has been something incredible to capture, and it's been a pleasure to do it. And yeah, the club would just like kind of see them all, but just go out there and just do what you do. We don't really need to tell you unless it's something specific happening at a certain game, like it could be the Tifos coming down or a particular point of interest. But generally, it was like CMRs, but just go out there and showcase your talent, sort of thing.
Yeah, and it was brilliant. The video the club put out the other week of all the pundits writing us off at the beginning of the season. But yeah, just in terms of the photography, Ross, before we get into this season, you know, because I've seen a lot of your scenery pics of Sunderland and all around, and they're absolutely fantastic. And I imagine that the skill of covering a game is very, very different. I mean, if you got a preference, because I imagine taking those scenery ones, sometimes almost you kind of surprise yourself, I guess, sometimes when you go, wow, you know, that's a fantastic view. But those doing a match day, I imagine, is kind of quite quick and quite, you don't realize what you're getting at the time.
Yeah, I can't remember if I mentioned this on the last video. Like the other half, she's always like, "Why are you going over the stadium 3 hours before? Can I just turn it back off?" And I'm like, she doesn't get it. So I'm having to explain like why you've got to be there really early because of getting there before the crowd, like player arrivals, everything. There's so much kind of going on, like as a step-by-step process for the match day experience, and you kind of get in there and finding a new position to be and working if there's anything in particular you've got to capture it there. So the actual it just goes in a blink of an eye, especially feels like now the season's over. It's just like, has that even just happened? But the games, even if you get in there so many hours before kickoff, the day just flies over because you're not stopping really. You're on the go all the time, getting all the new content, and you've got to quickly edit some before kickoff to kind of tell the story of the build of the game. And then it's after the game, it's just you're there for at least another hour or so, getting all the stuff edited, ready for the socials over the coming days off the back of a win or whatever outcome. But it is very fast paced and quite hectic. But I wouldn't have it any other way because that's the excitement. It keeps you on your toes. It's nothing like just getting up at the crack of dawn and going down Roker Pier, for example, and hoping you get a decent sunrise, and you're just sitting there waiting for something to happen. Where sport, anything could happen at any time, and you might just be in the right place, right time to capture a goal or a celebration or it's just a strange moment. It's just that's the best thing about it. You just don't know what you're going to get, but when you do get stuff, it's just there's nothing better. It's an incredible feeling for a photographer to get because you know if you're happy with it, then wait until the wider audience will see what you managed to get on the day.
Yeah, and there's your missus thinking you're going out 3 hours before to go for a few beers.
Probably,
Before the game.
yeah. She just thinks, oh, you just like she doesn't get enough practice. She would prefer me to be doing all the wildlife stuff, which I've really pushed back on. But she's like, see, it's nice when you get photographs of squirrels rather than football. I'm just like talking about all at times, but she knows she knows how much I'm like passionate about the whole thing. She gets it, but I know she'd rather have me walk around a bloody forest somewhere than for 48,000 people doing me things. So.
Yeah. You should explain that photographer, you know, photographing all the Sunderland fans building up to a Sunderland game is a bit like wildlife photography in some ways, isn't it?
Pretty much, because you just got to be patient and hopefully something else will happen. And more often not this season, there's just been a lot of chaos and enjoyment rather than standing in a bloody forest waiting for a bird to randomly appear. It's just not the same. No, I mean, I'd rather be in front of a crowd and documenting all those memorable moments, definitely.
Yeah. Well, look, before we get into this season and what you've been covering this season, because there's been some fantastic moments, I think we'll take a quick break. So we'll be back very soon.
Choice Hotels get you more of what you value. Here's a little tune to help you remember. Same drive, different day. Don't you wish you were getting away? Pack your bags and come on through. Texas, Ohio, Alaska, we're up there too. Comfort Inn, it's calling your name. Save on the stay. Oh, and free waffles are yours to claim. Well, I hope you like my little song. Book direct at choicehotels.com.
And welcome back to How We're the Podcast. And we're with Ross Johnston from RJX Media, and we're just about to get into this season. Because I was going to ask, you said you had those conversations, Ross. I mean, in terms of your role with the club, have you got kind of an official title? And the other thing I was going to ask was, going into the Premier League season, was it a case of, were they looking around? Were they expanding the team?
The team's kind of just been as is. I mean, there's been a couple of more roles in terms of like the media output. I mean, overall, as the club has had to go to the Premier League, they've had to just expand on everything. And I have no doubt it'll probably carry over in the Europa League too. I'm not privy to any of that type of information. What's happening is kind of like I just get told when I rock up and what happens here. But I'd imagine, like in any club, once you start going higher up the pyramid, you're going to need more and more people to come in and help out and support things. But essentially, for myself, it was kind of just skiing, same as, and there's been more hands on deck to support. I mean, they've seen obviously the stuff before kick-off when Granite Jack is talking to the microphone and serenading the fan base to build up the hype. The club have reached out to a number of companies and creators out there. I'll give a shout out to the lads at Why Not, the guys at Caviar Studios as well, and obviously anything else in between. They've done some incredible work, like really high-end stuff, and you can see it because you can get the reaction of the fan base where it's like, I mean, I still get goosebumps seeing when Granite speaks to the crowd before kick-off. It is just sort of like hairs on the back of your neck, that stand-up type of thing. The output of all the new media and more to come has just been incredible, and it's a credit to the club for reaching out to all the local creators to showcase what it's all about.
Yeah, it's brilliant they're using local talent like that. And looking back in the summer, Ross, of course, absolutely crazy summer. I'm one of the most crazy in Sunderland's history in terms of the turnaround and the type of players and how much we were spending. But of course, what comes with that is the traditional scarf shots and all of that sort of stuff and publicity. I mean, were you involved in that side of things, or were you on call a little bit because actually there were so many signings because they kept on coming throughout the summer?
Yeah, I mean, most of them were all kind of dealt all in house, so I was kind of just like watching it like everyone else does. Like if you see like Sky Sports News suggest something, or if it's Fabrizio Romano's post or any of the local, I'm watching it just like everyone else. I don't get that. I would never say I was in a special position, anything far from it. But I'm literally like, as a fan, like watching everything else, and I don't go out my way to like try and dig and get all this extra stuff because of like a position where some people might try and do it. I've never been that type of person. I just get told if it happens, then if I'm needed, can you come down? But when I've been asked, it's literally been like the 11th hour, are you free? Because it's so fast paced. Can you come down and help out with this? Absolutely no problem. And I don't know until I'm literally walking through the door. And that's a good way because rather than, I wouldn't say everyone's like this, but you're going to ruin your position if you start like, oh, this player's coming in, and then some people might go over all socials and tell all their friends. No, I'm just not. I mean, Gav will probably say the same. He tells us nothing, and that's the way it is. I don't say anything because why would I want to like jeopardize that? It's the excitement of going in, just like, right, I'm here to do a job, then do the best of the ability, and then whoever it is I'm seeing, just go out there and just get what's needed, and then will take care of itself thereafter. But yeah, it's been really exciting to be able to cover behind the scenes stuff like that. So when you see a new player coming in through with the talent we've been producing,
yeah. I mean, that must have been a job and a half actually, because I know you mentioned Gav there, and you mentioned some kind of inside knowledge and stuff. Because of course, one of the big ones in the summer, the pictures of Xhaka signing leaked. And Gav was absolutely fuming about this because he was like, he wanted the club to announce it and be in a big announcement for the fan base, and it does spoil it. I mean, I hate things like that. We all kind of hate things like this. These people who want to be first, for no reason at all other than to kind of boost themselves or whatever it is. But is that kind of part of it when that's the expectation of you, where if you've got that role, that you are employed by the club and you're expected to do things professionally?
Absolutely, mate. I mean, so I wasn't involved with that side of it. To this day, I'm not sure like what happened. And to say it, if it was filled with me, I would never put myself in that position because all you're going to do is get a ton of like anger thrown at you. So as if they're going to
Yeah.
create just kind of, I would just always go in, do what I need to do, hand over what I've took, and then it's like, right, I'm out the door. And it just kind of keeps, and you keep that profession because you trust it that way. It's like you're building that level of trust and respect and everything. It's like, yeah, you're excited because you're a Sunderland fan there, but you're also there to do a job. It's so different if you're there to be redecorating the stadium and you see a player. Really, you should be just getting on and being asked to be paid what you essentially being told what you want to do. But I've been fortunate to see some great things, but I'm not going to be the one who's going to be blown all on, like telling all that when it's happening at the same time. It's just a case of I'm seeing it live, but you'll find out in the next hour because it'll be told on like, Sky Sports News. So it's like just wait and just enjoy like part and parcel of being a fan, So
yeah, exactly. I know Gav's still spewing about that. Actually, he hated that, but actually, just going back to the summer again, I remember that there was campaigns around the new strips, and I remember they got Margot and Gatesy to do videos and pictures and things down the seafront to push those because they were the 1990 kind of playoff or strips, and they were based on those. I mean, is there a big team behind the scenes that come up with ideas for this promotional stuff, or on maybe announcing new players or new merchandise like that? I mean, does everyone get together, or do they kind of employ someone externally to do these things?
yeah, again, it's like a huge team effort. I can only go off where the stuff I've been like involved, but essentially it's all a big team effort behind like the marketing team and the media side. It's all like combined together and come up with the ideas of what they want to do. And then it's kind of like once they've got all that in place, it's like, right, who do we need on the day? And it could be a scaled down thing. It could be a really high end production. It just depends on what it is. So it's just, I think the levels of now you're in the Premier League, it's the expectation because you're doing a lot more media, not just for the club channels, but you've got the international eyes want to come in as well. So the upscale and everything has gone up tenfold. And as I mentioned before, I imagine it'll be even more so now. We're going to be across all the European games too. It's just it's an incredible thing to see going from. I'm sure the guys who've been there in the depths of League One are a much scaled down team, but now it's a huge operation. And I imagine they're going to expand on it even more just to cope with the demand for it. But it can all vary. Let's go back to what you said, depending if it's a player sign or a kit launch or whatever. It just depends how many people they need on the day to cover all that type of stuff.
Yeah. Just quickly on moving up to the Premier League, was there any kind of things you had to be aware of that you didn't have a clue about in terms of restrictions or access or anything like that? Was there any kind of changes when Sunderland moved up the Premier League on that front?
Yeah, so we got more of a. It was still like the AFL and the Championship and the like, but it was a lot more. I wouldn't say it's relaxed because it never is really, but the rules were a bit more like chilled out compared to right. You're in the Premier League now. I was told from the off, you're just going to be in the crowd. You don't need you down pitch side unless like something happens and you just by chance there. Otherwise, you're just going to have to stay where you are in the crowd, which is that's fine because apparently it's to do with like the bigger money that come in with Sky and everything, and they don't want someone in the way blocking a particular shot. And God forbid, I don't know if like something incredible happened, like an amazing goal, and you've got my mug standing right in the middle of the camera, like going, he's blocking the shot. So they kind of don't want people in the way, sort of thing. So that was like drilled into us quite clear, which I was like, no, that's fine. I know where I'm most of the time in the crowd anyway. So I think it was kind of just like a general housekeeping of like, right, now we're in the Premier League, it's a lot more stricter, so you've got to be kind of where you've got to be like more restricted to where you need to be. But yeah, we've just worked around that, and again, it hasn't really been anything different, really. I don't think I've noticed that much change, but more rules do come in, and I can only assume, again, going with this Europa competition, there might be a lot more stricter things that could be on the way, but I won't know that until I get told. But otherwise, it's just kind of the higher you go, there's more rules and regulations.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, look, going into the season, Ross, opening day of the Premier League season, Sunderland are back in the top tier of English football. West Ham United at home. It's a bright sunny day. Everyone's up for it. The crowd are up for it outside and inside. The tifos come down. I mean, that must be like a dream for you with a camera, isn't it?
It's just insane. I think like you're getting everyone's like decked out red and white. At this point, the bridge hadn't opened yet, so you still like got that to look forward to. but you've got the vision of like, bright sunny day, everyone's in the new kits, everyone's excited. We've got a home game at first. West Ham off the back of that campaign, you're always unsure how they would turn up, and then you're hearing like the full stadium and the tifo and everything, that just that raw. You think we've had an amazing summer. We've got pretty much a brand new team here. Let's just like go out and just give it the best shot as we can because everyone's writing us off. But when you hear that crowd and the music, everything drawn up to it, you can't help but just get like, you want to run through brick walls for it. You just can't help but get amped up for it. And I'm no different. I'm feeling it on pitch level. The noise is just incredible. But then you just go in there and you just think, right now it's kick off. And then you just start walking around. Hopefully you're going to get some great shots of the fan base, and hopefully the players will do their part on the pitch. And what a game to kick off the season. And we just couldn't have got any better.
Yeah. I mean, just you saying you're walking around and stuff, and some of it sounds like it's a bit ad hoc from what you're describing. But do the club give you a bit of a debrief before to say, look, we're going to have this tifo, we want this to be photographed from as many different angles, and do they brief you and say, this is what we'd like, as long as you get this, and then you can do whatever else you like after that?
Pretty much the same. It's obviously special occasion games where there've been like a T4, for example, around like November. We've had the remembrance parades and stuff like that. They'll be saying, we'll have a chat with me, yourself, and Ian and Martin in there to say, right, if Ian's the main club photographer, he's going to be down by pitch level. Martin will be there also from a different angle of support, and I can get the stuff in the crowd angle, so we can get as many angles of a particular T4 or a display. Everyone's got their particular position where they're going to suggest where they'll be. So I can take care of the stuff like, say, if it's something on in the east stand, I could be on the halfway line looking across to it, or if it's a T4 in the south stand, I could be in the north stand looking back. It's just a case of having these conversations prior to kick off and just being in position for when they all come through. And I think once all that's kind of out the way, it's like, right, the game time, and then you just switch from getting the displays to in-game action.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned the opening of Regisler Bridge, which happened this season, and there's been other events like the wording, of course, on the side, the welcome to Sunderland on the side of the stadium and all this. But, it's been a fantastic season on the pitch like that. But again, every home game for a while at the start of the season seemed to have something around it, like a big event, like whether it was whatever week it was Sunderland celebrating something or whatever. The opening of the bridge. I mean, again, that must have been brilliant to cover from, especially the bridge with scenery shots and things.
Yeah, I mean, you just always like forward thinking. You've got like a vision in your mind of seeing how it's going to be. And I imagine like most Sunderland fans thinking like, oh, imagine if in the future, if we ever get like a European game, this bridge with all the people coming across with all the flags, the stadium's going to be lit up and you're going to have all the lights and pyro going off. You kind of have that vision in your mind how it's going to be. It's more as a dream, but then you think, actually, we're going to actually be living that now, like next season. But as the bridge was opening, you knew, like, when it did open in the first home game, you're going to have people who've never walked across it before, but you're going to also have all the Sunderland fans with the flags and everything going across it to showcase like what the home games are going to be like. And to be able to do that in the first game, I believe it was against Wolves, getting the footage and getting those images. I mean, when you're getting them and you can see like your vision coming to life of how it's going to be, and you think, oh, again, you capture those iconic moments of history, not just for the club, but for the city as well. A brand new bridge that's been long overdue. It just opens a totally new dynamic. And you still hear people who, I mean, it's been open since towards the back of last year. My dad walked across it just this weekend for the first time. And he's lived in Sunderland all his life, and it's the first time he's like, oh, the bridge is really impressive. I'm like, it opened last year, and this is the first time it opened. He's like, oh yeah, it looks so great for the city, that the vision of going across the match day, I bet it's class, And I'm thinking, well, if he's lived here all his life, imagine all the Sunderland fans and wider fan base going across it for the first time for these particular games and more. It's just, you're always hearing that new factor. It's like a wow factor moment for it. But yeah, capturing those images and stuff to put out there, like the reaction of it was just incredible. Again, just so happy to see it all come alive. But the club and everyone were absolutely buzzing with it, and they've got their like big print off the photos of that across the club all over. You can see it like in the academy and all sorts. It's just, you're seeing your work on the wall of the academy and you're going, how's this got here? But it's just, again, a privilege to get to do what you get to do.
Well, we talked about things happening ad hoc and things happening naturally. We played the Mags at home in December, of course, and Voldemar did his thing, and we ended up winning, and the team ended up lining up for a picture on the pitch. I mean, was that a thought beforehand, or was it just get together and celebrate the moment?
I think there was always that underlying, and we're unsure if it's ever we'll get them back like they did against us in the FA Cup. It was always that we're going to do it or we're not. And I was under the impression that it was just kind of, I think the last word I was told is like, it's not going to happen. I was like, whatever happens, happens. As long as I get the goal celebrations of anything, then great. But I was always thinking, what if? So my role for that, as I mentioned before, like stay in the crowd. And I went down to the southeast corner at this point near the corner flag. And obviously I'm looking back towards the fans waiting for the final whistle. I mean, I'm going my ends. I'm hiding behind the scoreboard. I'm like shaking like a leaf. I'm just thinking, just blow that bloody whistle, you know what I mean? As soon as it did, I'm letting out all my emotion like every other fan, and they're going berserk trying to get all them fan. Like there was a couple of seconds where you see that burst of raw emotion that like we beat them at home and since we came back. But then from my point of view, I'm looking across because I say I know Ian's the main guy and he's fantastic at what he does. Looking across to him, and I think he was kind of just head buried in his laptop. Maybe he's getting those like final shots across. So I'm thinking all our players have ran towards the north stand to kind of give it them what for. And I'm looking across thinking he's not. I don't know if he's aware of it. So I thought, look, I'd rather get it than not get it at all. So I'm hop the barrier and I belt along towards the halfway line. And I thought I'll just get these shots while the players looking back up to the Newcastle fans. And also as I'm doing that, which I'm sure you won't mind us saying, but Chris Rigg shouts across to say, Ross, can we get a photograph of the team? Like, do you want to do it in front of their fans? Like they've done it, like, as I'd like to get one back at them. He's laughing. He's like, no, we'll do it in front of ours. I'm like, right, well, I was under the impression it wasn't happening, but tell all the lads, yeah, let's do it now. Yeah. So he's kind of like rounding all the players up and the staff, and I'm walking back towards the south stand. And no sooner as it's all in position, Ian comes over and he's like standing next to us. So I thought, well, I know he'll cover it because he'll get it straight away on the club's channel. It's fantastic game, great shot. But I thought, well, I'm here now. I might as well get one for my thing and kind of get a similar shot. But it was kind of like I'm standing back just through a Sunderland fan's eyes, thinking, bloody hell, I'm taking my first game up Everton and in dark conditions for under 21 or 23 game, and a few years later, getting a massive team shot of the whole South Stand with all the fan base and the players celebrate. It's just like as if you won like a big lottery, you're like a life's lottery. Hey, it can't get any better than this. So I thought this is probably as peak as it's going to be. I thought Wembley and the Coventry game last season, the way all that played out was going to be a high, but this was like just something even bigger against Newcastle. Like it was just so fun and amazing to capture that, and then you've struck gold really. Like I can't believe I've got this shot. It's going to be everywhere. And then no sooner as it went out, bloody every person and the dog was messaging saying, "Can I have this photo?" It's not my photo to share. I've banged my head against the football so many times that I can't share this as much as I want to. But hopefully the club will get round to having these photos in the club shop to sell because there's been such a huge demand for it. But that iconic shot for that game, I thought that was the peak, and I didn't think it was ever going to be better until the other Sunday, So,
well, tip me hat there, Ross, because I tell you what, I'm not sure I would have had a steady enough hand to take the picture. I would have just been jumping around like a lunatic. I mean, but how did when you're saying, you've got the nerves and everything? How do you kind of click out of that and then click back into, well, I've got to, right, I'm looking around for shots and things while I'm trying to keep an eye on the game and I'm nervous about that as a fan. I mean, I'm not sure I'd be able to do it.
It's part of like I won't say train of it. It's kind of like adjusting to it really, because there's been times where you just forget, especially if it's like a last minute winner, you want to go berserk, but then with that split second, it's if like someone's like tapping you on the shoulder going, get the photos, you're not here to celebrate sort of thing. So you switch quickly and go, oh yeah, bye, absolutely. And you just spraying and getting as much as you can for the crowd or whoever's next to you. It's been a lot easier to do, but it's been also really challenging to say the least, especially this season with how certain games have ended. And but as I mentioned, like last season when we scored that, with Dan Ballard scored that winner, I think I just let every emotion out possible. And I mentioned before, then Patrick Roberts has jumped on me back celebrating. I'm just thinking, what the hell is going on? So you do get a chance to kind of unwind a bit, but essentially you're there to get as many fours and content as possible. But there has been times after we've celebrated and it's starting to calm down, I'm generally giving it the fist pumps and celebrating with those around us, like seeing them happy. It's making me happy. You just crack on. But it's been really challenging, but overall very satisfying at the same time.
Yeah. Well, just jump to the end of the season in that Chelsea game, because of course loads of iconic moments in that game. But I mean, were you around? Were you kind of keeping an eye on the players at the end when they were trying to work out what was going on? Because I think they're up there with some of the iconic photographs from this season as well.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, mate, like I know they've really ramped up the quality in the stadium. It's a lot better than it has been in a number of years. But I don't know if it was just me or my phone was playing up, but I couldn't get a connection, so I was in the dark as much as everyone. So I'm in the South Stand at this point, and I think it was just after Chelsea scored. I got my phone out quickly just to check what was going on elsewhere. And you'll have seen it over many seasons of whether it's not just us or different teams. You always see on TV when the crowd start rumbling as if like something's happening elsewhere and you can't work out where it is and everyone's kind of in the dark. We never had that in that game, so I wasn't hearing any like anxiety from the crowd or we need to score another goal or something like that. It was kind of just business as usual. The crowd played their part and they were chanting all the way through, so I never got the feeling that something's going on elsewhere. It was always down to what we were doing. So as long as we won the game, what will be will be. And I think it would be really unfortunate for Brighton and Brentford to beat Man United and Liverpool on the day. But I wasn't hearing or getting told that anywhere else. So after Chelsea had scored, I checked the scores, and then every so often I was going back to it, but I couldn't get a connection. So I'm thinking, now of all the times, all the season's been fine. Now, I don't know if everyone was doing the same and it was destroying the bandwidth or something, but I couldn't get a signal to get to the scores. So I've done it before, but I walked back and forth that South Stand, that game, pacing back, just nerves. Like I usually am quite calm, but it did get the better of us this time. So I'm like kind of just hoping that every time I went in our half, don't score anything. But overall, I was quite confident the lads would get us over the line because of the way everything was feeling. But yeah, I was in the dark like everyone else. And as soon as it kind of hit full time, the reaction from the crowd, I thought, well, it's got to be minimum conference here. So we have done it. It's fantastic. And I was quite chilled going onto the pitch thinking, well, it's going to be conference. We've finally got into Europe in one way. And I'm seeing the players kind of huddling up to see what they're trying to do. I'm wondering what exactly they are doing, but I've got the gist of obviously they're trying to find out the crack. And then seeing their reaction, because again, I still don't know, but obviously they explore in joy, and I'm looking at a cross goal. That's not a Conference League reaction. That's the big one, isn't it? So seeing the way they celebrate, and then a few seconds later, here's the big confirmation of Europa League on the big screen, and that's when penny really dropped. Like bloody hell, we actually have done it. And then just watching it, just seeing the full stadium, just in like celebration mode, and the players and everything. It was just like insane. You just never think it would get any better than this, but it had, and just long may it continue.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we mentioned a couple of them, but what's been your favourite games or events this season to cover from a point of view of documenting it with your camera?
I think in terms of a full day, don't get us wrong, like the Sunday against Chelsea was like, going to Europe, and it was fantastic. It's still one of the best moments of me supporting the club. But in terms of like being behind the camera and documenting the day, it had to be Newcastle away. And just to be able to do that from getting there in the town centre really early at 7 a.m. at Central Station, and just you can hear people chanting as far away as Park Lane coming down all the song. It's kind of an upset thing, like, right, here we go. And as the crowd starts getting louder and telling that story from the train station all the way through to Newcastle, and then the escort all the way up there, documenting our fan base all the way up, and then having to then branch off away from them to walk through all the Newcastle fans by myself to kind of think I'm in like complete enemy territory here. But then having to walk through all that just kind of like unnoticed and then go on about me day to get the game. And the way the game started with obviously the back pass from Luke, and you just think, oh, great, it's going to be like the whole Sheffield United thing the season before. We've kind of come in on a bit of a high that's just kind of been killed straight away. But then to do what like the reaction we did straight from there, I thought we were definitely the better team going into half time. The momentum was with us, and I thought we'd continue that straight after half time, which we did. We've got a good chance of winning it. And never had expected us to be there to the first time doing this behind the camera at a Newcastle game away, and then for Robbie to score the winner. I'm there with everyone else. I'm kind of getting photos, but I'm jumping around like everyone else is. You know, I've got people grabbing us from behind, like just like arms around my neck. I'm like, I'm trying to get a photograph. Can you just give us a second? Pan round. But obviously our end was just chaos. It was insane. And I'm looking over the edge of the balcony, looking down at their fans because they've been giving it to us all game. And just to see their reaction of them looking miserable and obviously just absolutely like over ourselves in joy. It was incredible. Like a really amazing moment to be able to be there and kind of photograph the scoreboard and seeing the place celebrate at full time. And you're in there with the fans. The atmosphere was just electric that day. And then you get to do the escort coming out, and you're walking out the stadium, and it's pretty much like crickets because all their fans had pretty much went home, bar a handful of them were just giving us abuse going past. But essentially, it was a really kind of a peaceful way to get back down to Central Station, and then back on the train home, and then everyone's out celebrating, you know. So it's just, that was like, in terms of a long day, it was really long, but I would do it all again in a heartbeat because it just, everything went perfect that day. It was incredible.
No, absolutely brilliant. And just in terms of pictures, we might have already mentioned it. I'm not sure, but if you had to pick one like you've taken this season, Ross, let's say you lost all of your pictures and you got to choose just one that you could keep. What was your favourite picture from this season that you've taken?
I think it's probably going to have to be the team photo with the Europa League confirmation. It's on my background of my computers, background of my phone. It's kind of like, you know, people should have photographs of the kids or something like that, or the half. Or it's like, as daft as it is, it's like it's more of a reminder to say like where you've come from to where you are now. And most people just see it as like a team thing, but it's more of like a reminder to say like this is where like you've managed to get to, and it's a nice thing to look back on. I mean, I thought the Newcastle one was going to be, I've peaked here. It's going to be, nothing's ever going to top this unless you win a trophy or something. But this confirmation shot of this team and everyone behind the scenes pulling it together, and like everyone's played their part, the fans, just like that whole image of just seeing everyone on the feet, arms wide and celebrating. It was just an iconic shot of just like be able to see it from my point of view to what I got. That's going to be one. That's probably the best one I've took. And I don't know if I'll take a better one. That who knows? I never thought I would after them. Other things have happened over the seasons, but if that's my last shot I would ever take of Sunderland, then that's no better way to go out on.
Just quickly, how did that one come about? Because was that, did they say like, oh, if we do this, we'll have a team shot, or did someone go, you know, get everyone together? Or
this again was just different. I don't think it was kind of organised similar to the Newcastle. It was kind of just end of season. I think it was just the players probably organically did it themselves, and let's get another one. Just being on the pitch, getting photographs of the players with like their like family and friends, and doing the lap around the pitch after the end of it. It was kind of like a good way to put the cherry on top of the cake with the scoreboard in the background highlighting the achievement. So this was probably just, it got quickly put together, and I don't think it was ever planned, unless, again, I wasn't privy to that conversation, but it just kind of came organically, and it's like, right, let's get this all together and get us even more staff and whoever else wants to jump in. And it was just fantastic to look back on. Just so many happy faces, and I think it's been long overdue for Sunderland fans. Like, we've had to go through a lot of years of uncertainty and a lot of like bad moments and stuff, but just to be in that like stadium full of people and just all ages, like kids, grandparents, and everything in between. It was just a fantastic moment for the club, and I just hope it's not the end of this. I just want this to continue, and we'll get better, and just see where it takes us.
Yeah, you mentioned that team and that moment, of course, after Chelsea and the moment after the Newcastle game. We've talked about the character of this squad a lot this season. It comes across that they're just a good bunch of fellas, really. I mean, I assume that's the case and they're quite down to earth.
Yeah, I mean, I've been fortunate a couple of times to come in and do a couple of the training, and just you can feel the atmosphere around the place. Like, yeah, I've never been there previous to know what it was like in the past, but you have to just watch Sun Until I Die, the first series, to get an idea what it used to be probably like around the place. But I'm just going about doing my thing, and the players are just laughing, carrying on, good atmosphere, dance music's on. They're just like pranking and winding each other up. But when it comes to crunch and standards to be met, like they need to like do the hard stuff, like from going from like say like the gymnasium to the training pitch. When you're watching them play on the pitch and the intensity in the train's no different to a match day, you just think some might be just more relaxed. But you're seeing tackles flying in and other stuff, and I'm going, right, lads, like, ease off. You've got a game. I'm thinking from a Sunderland fan point of view, don't use this for the weekend, for God's sake. But they're throwing bodies on the line, really intense stuff, and you just think that the challenge and they are training as hard as they would do on a match day. So standards are not low by any means. Not I would expect them to be, but they are. It's all really high intense stuff. But the atmosphere, they've got a real big core group of lads who, they all look out for each other, and they all like, there's time when they can have a laugh and relax and stuff. But when it comes to like game time, they are very switched on, and just seeing the new like bunch of players who've come in, but also the lads who've carried us through the League One days to where we are. It's just like,
Yeah.
like Salute, and obviously at the time of this record, obviously, I know Dennis Serpent just mentioned that the other day he was leaving. To seeing those type of players who've come through, like Dan Neil and all the rest, it's like, they'll have a legacy with this club that they'll always be looked back on as like with fond memories. They've got us where we are, where we were, sorry, to where we are now. And Sunderland fans will never forget that. Like they've been an integral part of the change in this, and it'll never go unnoticed. They'll always be welcome back in Sunderland with open arms.
Yeah, 100%. And just talking about that big moment against Chelsea, season ends, Ross. So what happens next after that big high? Does everyone go off their own ways? Was there an end of season party? I mean, what happens?
Like I say, pretty much after the game, like going forward, like Gav and a few of my other mates were over in Keele Square celebrating. So like I'm literally trying to get through as much photos and editing as possibly I can. So obviously I want to go over and celebrate with them. So as soon as the game ends, I say running was more of a jog because I'm not going to try and run across that bridge. No way. But I get across there, and there's a pint waiting for us. So I'm celebrating with all the lads across there as much as everyone else. And then it's kind of like, right, now what? Like you say, like what happens next? We just got to look forward. I know there's a big American tour for the pre-season coming up. I'm not going to that. I'm just going to be obviously watching it like everyone else is, and probably just catch the games, whichever happens back home. But it's just a case of waiting to find out what the next plan is. But it's just kind of switching back to a fan perspective. It's like, I don't know what's happening. So like everyone else, what will be, will be. We'll see who we're linked with. We'll see who's going, who's staying, and what the plans are for the season ahead when the kids come out and everything else in between. It's just weird. Like as I'm sitting now going, what does happen next? But I'm just so happy we've got a World Cup to look forward to rather than summer of just like mystery, really. So we've got the World Cup to distract us too.
Yeah, but Ross, I imagine you're itching to get that drone coverage of Sunderland fans taking over a European city next season.
Oh, I mean, again, you have bucket list things, and you have somewhere those are more realistic, and you have things like wildest dreams and just like, yeah, it never happened, and then it is happening. And I think for me, if a thing stay as they are, and if it's just the home games, fantastic. It'll still be incredible to have the Europa like banners everywhere and the music and the spectacle of the whole thing. Whichever teams then do come to the stadium. But for me, the next big thing is to be able to be in some old market town in whether it's whichever city it's in, but to be able to see Sunderland flags everywhere, like we did in Covent Garden and Trafalgar Square, taking over that, but in a nice European city in the sun or whatever, just to be able to have those iconic images to see we're all on tour. I even think if Sunderland fans, if they don't even go to the game, there'll be a lot of people just going over there just for the jolly of it.
Definitely.
Just to see that.
Nobody left in Sunderland.
Well, that's it. I mean, I hope that's the case. I would love nothing better to see thousands of fans, if they can't go to the game, but just take over a city just to find bars and just have that couple of days experience away. Because again, just these opportunities don't come around that often. It's more in our case, you just got to grab it while you can and just be able to say you were there, you experienced it. So I kind of live in hope that the club will say that would love you to go and you're across to wherever it is they want it to be. But if it means me getting drone images or anything on the ground, absolutely count me in, because it'll be, again, an absolute pleasure to do, and I'll just do as best I can to showcase the story of Sunderland fans on tour, basically.
Yeah. I've said it before already, but God help that European city that draws Sunderland for that for our first away game in Europe. It's going to be messy, isn't it?
I mean, I've obviously experienced what you think what could be like when we've been in Trafalgar Square the night before, when been there, as it gets dark and they're setting power off and people are just enjoying themselves, and you think, I always think, imagine this, but somewhere like, I don't know, I'll use
Not London.
I mean, everywhere bar London, like I'll say, for example, if it does turn out to be Milan, then that would be, given all the stick we've had over the years. But if it is Milan, and to be in that square, well, I've been fortunate to go on a holiday once before, so I could at least say I've been a Macam in Milan, But to have all of us over there in that square, ready for a big game, it's just it's just more of like the pinch me most, but like the fun side of it, thinking like all the content you'd get from the Sunderland fans being there, and if it doesn't have to be that particular city, but anywhere, I think we'll do it really well. There'll be just a colour of red and white and everything else in between, but it'll just be all people enjoying themselves in the sun. Or if it's somewhere like in the freezing cold, you'll still have people with shirts off and just in the shorts. They'll not be bothered. They're just there for the experience. But I think we'll do it as best as we can. And I think, once people have had the opportunity to do it, they'll not want it to end. And hopefully it'll be the only way it's off for someone and the club and all the fans from forward.
Yeah, there'll be a few fans going for the full week, I think, never mind a day and a night and a weekend. But yeah, so we all look forward to that coverage, Ross, next season. But just a last point, because I mentioned, obviously, yourself, RJX Media. You said you get a lot of requests and everything like that. I mean, can people get in touch if you've got things that you can sell, or if people request them? Is there any message you want to put out there?
So just to kind of paint a picture of the whole thing, like if you say before kick-off, or if it's just someone calls the crowd and they see a photograph of, a woman, like a mother and a daughter or something, like, or before the game, if it's just a photograph of a little kid or something, I always tell them to say, drop me a message. I can send you this photo, because it's of them, being the fan base and the club are being sound with that. It's more of the shots of, say, if it's like a T4, a display, or particular moments where, again, like the photograph of the players on the pitch and stuff. To kind of expand on that, I've been back and forth with fanatics who pretty much take care of everything in the club shop and the branding side of things. I've been back and forth with emails over the course of the season with the gallery to say, here's all the major iconic images of the club over this course of not just this season, but last season. Because the demand of people saying, I want this as a print, or for the office, or my home, or I want this on the back of something, or whatever it is, I always get those messages saying, can I have this image? And I've had to say, it's the club's intellectual property. I can't sell it. I wouldn't anyway, because it would just ruin everything for us. And I've had to lay that on thick to say, look, I'm working my best with fanatics to try and get them to sell photos online. People can buy prints at a Dropbox thing and get them anywhere in the world, or whether it's in the club shop on the back of a book or something, or buying prints directly. I've done everything in my power to try and get that over the line. It's just that I can't do anything more. It's down to the people in charge who organise that to take that further. All I can say, like I've been saying to people, is watch this space. However long they have to wait, I don't know the answer to, but I've done everything from my side, because I want people to have these shots, not just mine. Same with the rest of the guys in the photo side of the club, both for the men and women's team. I want everyone to have their work showcased in every way possible. It's just that I can't pass out, unfortunately, unless it's to those between the club, but it's an ongoing process now. Hopefully this will hopefully get it over the line very, very soon, because these are the shots people want, and I'm just doing everything I can to get that over the line for them.
Yeah, well, that'll be brilliant, because I know a lot of people, including myself, wouldn't mind a little picture of those iconic moments from this season, because they've been absolutely brilliant. And that just leaves me to say, Ross, thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate it once again. And of course, just keep what you do, doing what you're doing, mate, because it's absolutely fantastic, some of those shots you're getting.
No, again, mate, thanks for having us on. I'm very blessed to get a chance to do what I do for the team that I love, the team I support, and you have these pinch me moments, but when you get the shots you want, you just know that if I was a Sunderland fan, if I'd be buzzing to see these, only imagine what the feedback would be once it gets to the public eye. And all I can say is, from the club all the way through, and the fan base who've stopped me at the games and give the praise and say the feedback and everything, it's been nothing but exceptional. It's been incredible to hear all the positive compliments and everything. And I'm probably too humble for me own good. I just do it for the love of the club and the love of the city. I just want to make Sunderland be as best as it can and showcase us in the best light. And it's just basically what it's all about. And again, just thanks for having us on, mate. And hopefully we'll go one further in Europe next season and see where it goes from there.
Yeah, I look forward to your picture of us holding up the Europa League trophy at the end of next season, next May. Who knows? You never know. But but thanks again, Ross. Really appreciate it. And thanks again, everyone, for listening. Of course, we'll have loads more on the Roker Report website. We'll have all the latest of what's going on at Sunderland AFC, as always. And our daily releases on How We're the Podcast will be with you throughout the summer. But from us, it's bye for now.